Well, I'm Lindsey Graham, Republican candidate for the United States Senate. I'm about to finish my first term, up for my first re-election, and if I say so myself, I think I've done a good job for my state. I've spoken out on things that are hard. I've tried to reach across the aisle when necessary to solve hard problems. I'll put my fiscal conservative voting record up against anyone. I've been a very low-tax senator. I do believe that if you're going to grow the pie, as Senator Obama wishes to do, the ingredients are lower taxes and less spending in Washington. On the national security front, I've been on the Armed Services Committee. Proud of my record there. I understood early on that Iraq wasn't working well, stood with Senator McCain to advocate a new strategy that has turned Iraq around. I do believe the enemy we're facing has to be dealt with resolve, and I'm resolved to make sure that our troops have the equipment and the backing to see this war through. We're going to come home from Iraq here sooner rather than later, but we'll come home with a stable country left behind. And that makes us all safer. As we go forward, energy independence. Like every American, every South Carolinian, we got to find ways to generate energy supplies here. Nuclear power is time has come. We haven't built a new nuclear power plant in 34 years. South Carolina stands to benefit more than any other state in the nation if we'll get away from greenhouse gases. It helps the planet if we use less fossil fuel. If we can run our cars on hydrogen, it will help our economy because we're leading the nation on hydrogen fuel cell research. Nuclear power to replace fossil coal-fired plants. You got to deal with the waste. You got to recycle the spent fuel. The French do it, the Japanese do it, the British do it. We could demonstrate that technology at Savannah River. So the next 4 years are going to be important. Either we're going to get started on the road to energy independence or we won't. So I'm dead set on working with Democrats to find a way to drill, do all the above, including nuclear power, conservation, alternative fuel. Social Security, Medicare are under siege every year that goes by. The baby boomers are beginning to retire. There's less money coming in over time than we have to pay out. Somebody needs to fix that. When I was a young man, 21, 22, my parents died, and that Social Security survivor benefit check that came to my family for my sister, who was 13, meant the world to my family. And I'm dedicated to finding a solution to Social Security, looming bankruptcy, and that's going to require bipartisanship. If Senator McCain gets to be president, I'll be one of his closest friends, best allies, trying to get through a reform agenda in the Senate. If Senator Obama wins, I will check him when I need to, control Pelosi, Reid, and Obama when required, and try to find common ground for the good of the country. I'm ready to go back to the Senate if people are ready to send me. How was that?
How should Washington deal with the current financial crisis?
Understand that the essence of this problem is housing. What got us in this mess was a housing bubble burst. We had a lot of mortgages that were given to people who couldn't afford to pay them, and those mortgages were remarketed and resold to financial institutions throughout the world. If we could get a grip on the slumping housing economy, we'll jumpstart this economy. So number one, prop up the housing market. Those people are about to go into foreclosure. Let them renegotiate their mortgage so they can pay at a new rate, a rate they can afford. Keep them in their homes, because when one person goes into foreclosure, it hurts everybody in the neighborhood. Extend these tax cuts. The last thing you want to do in this weak economy is to take tax cuts off the table for business. Energized by business community by lowering capital gains taxes. You know, Joe the plumber, he wants to buy the business one day. I guarantee if you cut capital gains tax rates, the owner would be more likely to sell to Joe. And if you got the business, don't hit him when he grows and expands. If he generates over $250,000 in income, don't add to his burden. Allow him to share that with his employees in the community in which he lives. So I think we need to control federal spending to prop up the dollar. We don't need one more dime of your money. Nobody in America should send us another penny of money to Washington. We're just not spending the money we have well. So fiscal discipline, freezing non-defense spending, vital programs like entitlements have to go forward, veterans health care. But let's look at the federal government as it exists now and go into the guts of it and see if we can save some money. I know we can if we have the will to do it. Control spending, keep taxes low, increase consumer ability to spend by increasing child tax deductions, and deal with the housing market. Make sure that the banks can lend money at an affordable rate, and that's why we have to intervene.
How are we going to deal with illegal immigration?
By working together on solutions that will get enough votes to pass that will solve the problem rather than making people feel good. Secure your borders. You'll never have immigration reform as long as you can walk across the street in the United States. So controlling the southern border has to be the first step on illegal immigration, to solve illegal immigration. Deal with the magnet. The reason people come here in such large numbers is jobs. A lot of illegal immigrants are leaving the country because their job market is drying up. When our economy gets stronger, they're going to come back. We need a temporary worker program that will allow a willing employer and a willing worker to meet, and that worker pay taxes, learn our language, and obey the law. And nobody can get a job through the temporary worker program as long as an American is willing to do that job. So I believe that if a company advertises at a competitive wage and you can't find a worker after you try, let's fill that job with somebody who's willing to come here and work hard on a temporary basis. That takes the pressure off employers to cheat. Control how you get a job. The only document you need in America to get a job is a Social Security card. If you want to be Ronald Reagan, Mike, I'll make you Ronald Reagan. I can get a Social Security card by midnight, any name you want, any number you want. Take that piece of paper and turn it into a biometric document that can't be faked. So you deal with the border, you deal with the labor issue so that we won't have the magnet drawing people here, which is illegal employment. Crack down on employers who cheat. Then come up with a way to deal with the folks that are already here that's realistically. We're not going to put 12 million people in jail. But within that illegal population, there's some people that should be deported on day one or go to jail because they're a bunch of criminals. If you come here illegally, you should never jump in line of those who've done it right. So you don't reward people with a citizenship who's broken our laws. They can't become citizens unless they leave this country, get in the back of the line, and apply in a legal fashion. But you got a dilemma. You got a lot of people here with kids. Some of them are in the military. So find a way for them to come out of the shadows, raise their hand and say, here I am. Make them pay taxes, learn our language, obey our laws. And if they want to be a citizen, they got to go back and start over. To me, that makes sense. That's doable. And you'll never have an immigration solution until you get bipartisan support. That means labor unions, Democrats and Republicans, employers, employees, working to solve this problem. If I could make it go away by just snapping my finger, I would. Enforce the current law? I hear it everywhere I go. The current law is broken. The reason we have so many people here illegally is it's hard to tell the difference between somebody legal and not. And if you ask questions, you don't look like Ronald Reagan, you can get sued for employment discrimination. The E-Verify system that we use here in South Carolina, where employers can check the documents, that's going to expire at the end of the year. The federal government needs to expand it, not let it expire. So that's my solution, a comprehensive approach where you get bipartisan buy-in.